So what I want to do now is just talk a few minutes about sort of the business of this special interest group. And, you know, right now, ACOG is providing us this venue and the chance to meet. They'll certainly do that again for us a year from now if we want to. But what are we going to do in the meantime? You know, do we want to be a more formal organization? You know, we don't have any budget now. Do we all want to maybe contribute? Do we do a budget? Should we become a nonprofit organization? You know, what's our mission? Why are we here? What are we going to do? We're not going to be able to necessarily, you know, solve that right this moment, but I would like some ideas from you. You know, what do you want? Where should we be in a year or 5 years or 10 years? And I want, you know, to take a few minutes and just discuss those kind of things and get your ideas about what would you like to do. Go ahead.
Is there a mechanism for us to form an association? Is like under ACOG or?
ACOG, as I understand, does have the ability to help us do that.
Okay.
But it comes with a little catch, because if they do, then we have to pay them an administrative fee.
Well, not necessarily. ACOG will help us form a 503C, which is a not-for-profit status. They do provide administrative services to a lot of the subspecialty groups that are out there. We could elect to have them do that. I have asked them how much that costs. They haven't really gotten back to me yet. But that's the possibility, and you know, the advantage of that is having a presence in the national office. Right. Or you know, if it's administrative needs that we have, well, we could hire our own, you know, administrative assistant. It doesn't have to be ACOG, but they will help us do the paperwork for the 503C.
I second that. I think that we do need an association. One of the things we've been looking at for years with our group, you know, we were growing rapidly and we had these concerns about quality, as I mentioned. We'd actually purchased a site if we're interested. I have our company has the AOHA.org, American Pacific Hospitalist Association. If we could do that, certainly I'm happy to use it for that purpose. I think that I would like to see us, when you say you're an OB hospitalist, it needs to mean something. It can't be, and I believe that you need to be an expert in obstetric emergency management. You need to take advanced fetal monitoring course. You need to, you know, certainly have ACLS, BLS, NRP, you know, things like that. Not just that. I'd like for it to eventually get to the point where we can have simulators. We can have a national, maybe twice yearly, national meetings where we get together and you can get all these courses done at once. You can get your ACLS training. You can go through the simulator courses. There's great people out there who can do these courses for us. I think if we get together and we give our seal of approval on what does it mean to be an OB hospitalist, then again, we please ourselves and we can lead the way with all this.
I think what the speakers are saying, and I totally agree, is that we're at some point where we should think about ourselves as a subspecialty. I mean, we're at the infancy, if you will, of it, but certainly with what's happening with obstetrics and its delivery and healthcare changes that are on the horizon, I think we have to start thinking long term that eventually we are going to be a subspecialty of obstetrics or obstetrics and gynecology, depending on how the model plays out. By the way, I was in the Delphi group that started at Washington Hospital January of '04. I was the medical director, and I was the first person on call. I took the first call night. I was walking down the hall. The nurse yelled, "Doctor, come quickly." It was a patient lying in a pool of blood. She had abrupted. Her doctor wasn't in the building. I did a crash, got the baby out before the doctor came. First activity as a hospitalist was a save.
Yeah.
And the program's continuing on. It's, you know, it's 6 years now, and we've had lots of saves. But I think we ought to be a true specialty, so I agree with the OB hospitalist group person thinking about the, you know, the professional aspects of what it means to be an OB hospitalist. We have to keep that in front of our eyes.
I think it's important, as Sabrina Thomas with the OB hospitalist group, I think it's important that we align ourselves with ACOG, because I think that we can very easily prove that we are responding to the crisis. I remember remember about 3 years ago getting all of these flyers that ACOG wanted us to put in our office saying, who's going to deliver you? Where they wanted patients to respond to the national crisis and not having enough obstetrical providers. And I think that when we align ourselves with ACOG, we are actually answering that national call, and that will prove us to be, you know, a very important force within our society because we're responding to that.
First responders.
So when they ask who's going to deliver you, we will.
I also agree with this concept of staying aligned with ACOG because I'm just going through that re-credentialing process, and I'm in that 6-year, form, and I don't think we're going to qualify 4 years into this if we're just doing laborist stuff. I mean, we're going to have some problems filling at the be credentialed by ACOG or be they have that. So we better be aligned with them so that they have some leeway to work with us because we're not doing all the hysterectomies and all that kind of stuff.
So it's not only the credentialing in the individual hospital, it's the credentialing from ACOG that we have.
With the board, I'm saying. I mean, can we stay board certified if we're just doing labors and we don't qualify for some of these other parts in that? So if we get out, that's going to hurt us.
I would suggest that you sit back on that and you define yourselves before other people define you. Establish your own criteria and then decide if ACOG's goals and your goals align. So you define yourself first and decide that whether or not you are in tune with what ACOG wants, because certainly whether it's reimbursement or classification or whatever, you may not be in alignment with ACOG. So I think you have to define what you want to be first and then see if ACOG's in alignment with what you want, not make that decision first.
How about a national meeting? Do we want to have an independent one that we just get together ourselves? Or do we want to take next year's ACOG meeting and say, let's take a day either before or afterwards and do it ourselves? Or do we want to go to ACOG and say, okay, we want part of the official syllabus and we want a day to do it? I don't know that answer. Go ahead.
One point, there is